and welcome to another episode of What Travis Says. My name is Travis and let's talk about Doctor Who. More specifically, Season 12, Episode 7, Can You Hear Me? Now, if you've not yet watched Can You Hear Me, we will be talking about some plot points that happen in this video. There will be spoilers. There were some very interesting and noteworthy things that happened in this episode. The Doctor had a flash of what was presumably the timeless child. Graham had that semi-awkward conversation with the Doctor at the very end of the episode about his cancer scare. I say semi, it was pretty awkward. And now that I'm talking about it out loud, that subject might deserve its own entire video. But on the note of the timeless child, we get to see a little more of what we believe is the timeless child, but there's not really that much more information to go on. The good news is that the timeless child does seem to tie a lot of these episodes together with an underlining story. The bad news is that it looks like I've been right about the companions having further disenfranchisement about traveling with the Doctor. Well, it's good news for me if I'm right, but it's bad news for the Doctor. Just like at the very beginning of Orphan 55, all three companions were completely fine with leaving the Doctor alone to her own devices, going off and doing their own thing. That being said, the companions were back, quote-unquote, home, albeit a little late. And during the episode, Ryan's fear was that he would inadvertently abandon his friends and his home and miss out on their lives. And at the very end of the episode, Ryan openly asked Yaz what they were still doing traveling with the Doctor. Yaz reassures him that there's no real rush, that they could be dropped off at literally any point in time. They wouldn't have to miss anything. But Ryan protests that he wouldn't be the same man. He would grow into this other person. He would be a different age than the people that they left behind. And then when you start to think about Yaz's specific character development in this episode, which was kind of blurry up until the very end, do you think that traveling with the Doctor is Yaz's way of legitimately running away and trying to justify that to herself? Because I don't know about you, but it seems like Yaz is very comfortable with just not going back to work right now, just putting life on pause. So that leaves Graham. And in this episode, Graham was faced with the fear that his cancer might possibly somehow return. And the cancer returning would be something that he would have no control over. Over and over in the episode, he repeats that he's constantly going to his appointments, everything's coming back good, but that fear is still in the back of his mind that this cancer is going to return. In last season, I firmly believed that Graham was going to sacrifice himself to save Ryan. Graham had just lost Grace at the very beginning of the season. He was trying to come to terms with her death. He was also trying to reach out to Ryan and be a father figure. Graham sacrificing himself to save Ryan on his own terms would have been an incredibly powerful showcase of love. But obviously that didn't happen. Yet. Sure, Graham has some issues with the Doctor not being entirely truthful, but I think he's sort of in a middle ground between Yaz and Ryan possibly leaving and the Doctor. Graham is just kind of in the middle. He's okay with whatever the group decides. So, I don't think Graham is going to decide to leave Team TARDIS without some grand sacrifice. Ryan is worried about leaving his friends and home behind. Yaz might be subconsciously running away from something and she just has to realize that she has to go back and face it. And Graham ultimately does not really want to stop traveling with the Doctor because he feels like his home is just going to be this gigantic museum with memories of Grace, and he doesn't want that. So I feel like Ryan and Yaz run the risk of wanting to leave Team TARDIS to go back to their old lives. But I feel like Graham is so dead set on staying with the Doctor that he might sacrifice himself for Ryan. And maybe that's Ryan's catalyst for wanting to go back to his old life. In the comments down below, let me know how you think Team TARDIS is going to end up disbanding. There will be future Doctors, there will be future companions. This show is ever changing. So how do you think these three are going to leave the Doctor? That's it for this episode of What Travis Says. My name is Travis. Thank you for listening to what I have to say, and you will see me soon.